Hello again, welcome back. Okay, in this installment, I'm going to talk a bit about my book again, chapter 3, about time and how it relates to our running life. Okay, like I said last week, if you want to get a copy of this book, please just send me an email at Samurai Running Japan. You can Google that, you'll find it, and I'll send you out a copy. Okay, so in this chapter 3, I've got it here. I'll just go through it briefly. Okay, let me just read the last sentence of the article that give you some idea what it's about. Okay, so I wrote here, the great Japanese marathoner Toshihiko Seiko, his coach, who's Kyoshi Nakamura, he said he likened correct training as the steady fall of raindrops, which slowly forges a hole in a rock. He said some days the rain falls harder and some days it doesn't fall at all. But the process cannot be hurried. There you go. So if there is such thing as a key to success in distance running, it's probably this. Okay, so I start the article off talking about another Japanese related story of an old Zen story of an apprentice apprentice swordsman conversation with his master. Okay, I'll read this one too. It's interesting. He says the master, the apprentice says, "How long will it take for me to become a great runner? Great under you?" And the master replies, 10 years. The apprentice quickly shoots back, "I don't have that long." He says, "I want to be good soon. What if I worked hard and dedicated myself completely to the task?" "Okay," said the master, 30 years. The apprentice says, but that's even longer. He says, "I'm telling you, I'm in a hurry." And so the master retorts, "Precisely, students in a hurry end up taking even longer to learn what's right in front of them." Okay, so that's the first, the beginning of that article. And then I go to talk about analogy about the time I started running. Like I'm 50, coming on to 54 now. I was in my early 40s and I had a young family. My first son was just, as I was starting to run, my son was he was just coming out, learning to walk himself. And he used to, like I said, he used to crawl around the sofa. He used to pull himself up on the sofa and just walk around there. And he would do that, for about five weeks. He'd just pull himself up, and we thought, oh, he's just about to walk. And he'd walk, aided with the furniture and go around the house. Then he'd promptly drop back down and go back to his crawl, which he was quite comfortable and proficient at. But I thought, at that time, man, he's taking his time. Why doesn't he just start? He's almost there. But the point that eventually, of course, he did get up, of course. And once he started to walk unaided, he never looked back. But that process, if you have a young family, that your children walk at different stages and at different times and that just points to the fact that humans develop at different stages, but we all have our points when we are able to do something. But with running, the worst thing you can do, and in my experience, is just to push things too far and to do it too quick. All of my injuries have come from thinking that I could do something before my time. You have to build all your connective tissues and even down to strengthening every bone in your foot, in your feet. But it's a process, and if you try to hurry it, you're gonna run into trouble. Okay, so another story here. So yeah, going into a bit of more philosophy about this. So with us in the West, right? People who are brought up in the West, we find it hard thinking more long term. So we instinctively know better, but we've grown up with a consumer culture, and that consumer culture of getting things now and here, like, you can order a book and get it next day, and even if you have a Kindle straight away. But that idea of getting things straight away has masked the reality that everything has its time, and you have to, especially with our physiology, we have to give it that time before we can actually go from one thing to the other. Okay, so I talk a bit about that, and then a little bit about Japanese elite runners. I mean, I've heard this story from people in Japan and other places. I've read it, but there's the Japanese marathoners, especially the females. They'll start off in a 4-year build-up. Once they become established runners, before they actually run the marathon, they'll do like a 4-year build-up cycle. And the first one is like, first year they're just hiking in the mountains, and they'll do no running of any consequence for that first year, and they'll just basically have packs on and just walk or hike like that. So, but by the end of their 4th year, they're running 200-kilometer weeks, and they're doing that without getting injured. It's because they've been able to, progress steadily and do it at their pace. Okay, so of course some of them are going faster than others, but they all understand the process and they respect that. I allude to a famous masters runner, John Keston, and he began, he was a world record holder. He broke 3 hours when he was 70, but he started when he was 55, right? And it was only after running like 20 miles a week, and then he built up to 60 miles within a 5-year period. And then he started to run, but all through his 70s he ran multiple successful marathons. But he's a poster boy for progressing right. A very intelligent man. I think he was an actor, professional actor and a musician. But if you want to look him up, he's quite an interesting dude. Okay, so that's my third. I'm going a bit over time here. That's my third paragraph, titled Time, and that talks about basically what I have been talking about. So if you want to again have a look at that article or the book itself, please send me an email, and I'll send one off to you. All right, have a good week, and I'll come back next week with another chapter and something else to discuss. All right, thanks a lot, and see you later. Bye bye.